Everything to me anyway seems just so elusive. You don't really know what's going on. The missions are secretive and things like that. So, what made you want to join the military?
Um, well, honest, I didn't want to join the military. Um, I was in a car accident. I was going to this college and came home uh, in a car accident, uh, and it built up all these. And it's like we ain't afford you to go back to school and get a job. I wasn't feeling that, so I started going. He asked me what I wanted to do, and I told him, "Well, what about the military?" And he took me down to some of the military offices. I wanted to go to the Air Force, but they wasn't there. Uh, I went by the Marines, and they told me come back after they get done eating lunch. I went to the Navy office, and they was eating lunch, and they was like, "Come on in, you want something to eat?" So that's how all that went. That's how they got
Felt,
me.
felt a little bit more at home, huh? Can you hear
So
me?
I can hear you.
Okay. I was saying you felt a little bit more at home with that one, huh?
Oh yeah, this it felt. I mean, it felt like they actually wanted me. So they invited me in, and I talked to them, had a sandwich of my own, and took a pre-test, and it was like, uh, we can get you out of here in the next couple months if you want. So, and it took off from there.
Wow. Well, what made you keep enlisting?
Well, well,
Tricky
when we
question, y'all.
when we are young, we kind of do young things and
True.
don't make the best decisions in our lives. But sometimes those situations can cause us to grow up faster and make the decisions that we need to make. So what happened to me was my oldest son's mom got pregnant. I didn't know what I was because I wanted to do 4 years, get some experience, and then get out uh, and like go back home to Charlotte. Done a good job, but no backup plan. That threw me for. I was like, I just give it 4 years so I can take care of my son, and because that's what my mom instilled of me. You take care of your family, and you're not going to be one of the guys that you created a life in the. So I'm sure that I put my in the right, so I was able to take care of him, and and before I could even before I could even re-enlist, I started to enjoy it. I started to enjoy learning my job, learning my craft and my trade. So, and I a military family within that organization. So, I just started to enjoy it more. So
Cool.
that's what
So
comes.
yeah, and so that was going to be one of my questions too. I mean, is your family military? You have other people in your family that have joined different ranks of the military?
Well, I was in the army. Um, My oldest sister, she was in the Navy before I was. I think she
Okay.
joined the Navy, like I think she joined in 92, 92, 93, something. She only did one enlistment though.
Uh-huh.
Uh, my nephew, he had joined the Navy and just got out. Um, Other members in the Navy have like who retired from the Air Force. I have a cousin who joined the Marines, and he did one enlist. out. Um, yeah, I have several people in my family who joined the service, um,
Cool.
and some who have went the distance and retired.
Very good, very good. Yeah, I had some family members. I don't have any that I'm aware of that perished during their service. I know that my uncle actually married a lady, and her first husband was declared missing in action, so
And
they never could find him. So
yeah,
that was rough.
I, unfortunately, I have lost several friends, uh, workers, associates, also witness people losing their life while in, whether it be duty or off duty.
Mm, wow. So, what's a day in the military like? Did you go to Afghanistan? Have you been to Desert Storm? Any of those?
Well,
Have
no.
you been deployed?
Oh yeah, I've did. Every service has a different kind of deployment.
Okay.
Uh, the Navy, when you think of Navy, you think of strictly water. So we are mainly water on the water. I've done 9 deployments.
Oh wow.
So each one, well, when I first came in, it was 6 month deployments, and then they just after Desert Storm, they just got way longer after that. I think the longest one I've been on is like 10 month deployment. So so a day in the Navy, it depends on where you at.
Okay.
So I can tell you what I experienced. If you on if you either on shore duty or you on sea duty. If you're on shore duty, I mean you're on shore duty, it's really close to being like a 9 to 5 job.
Okay.
Now if you're on sea duty, that's totally different. So you wake up to reveille, and that's just you know bells start ringing, reveille, reveille. All hands heave up, heave out, and trice up. Now reveille. A lot of people don't realize that when they say heave out and trice up, that trice up part is due to back in the day when they used to have these slabs of steel that you used to sleep on. So when you came out, you had to push them up, and there's a hook that came down. And you had to hook it,
Oh
so
wow.
hooked up into a stick. But they don't have those anymore. So, but a lot of people don't know that that's what that's pertaining to.
Right.
So once they make that noise, uh, uh, that announcement, then you get up, you go to the head, which is the bathroom, um, take your shower, brush your teeth, whatever you got to do, get into your uniform of the day, which could be anything. Most of the time when you're out to sea is um, a flight deck jersey and some cargo pants or flight deck boots, or it depends on where you're working at.
Okay.
So you get up, you go to roll call or what we call muster. Stand in line, they make sure everybody's there, and then you get the information for the day. But before you can go to work, you have this long hour that they call cleaning stations. For the whole hour, everybody on that ship is cleaning everything on that ship.
Oh really?
Yes. Most of the time you have two cleaning stations every day, except for Sundays, just one. But after that, then you go to what your daily duties are, depending on what department and division you are in, what job are you pertaining to do. Then around 11, 12 o'clock, you break up into different different sections to chow, which your chow line. How can I explain it? Uh, you ever been on a Black Friday? How you know how the crazy people get on a Black Friday? How long them lines is?
Yeah.
Them lines, them lines ain't got nothing on the chow line.
Really?
Chow line comes from the chow up the ladder wells or the stairs
Mm-hmm.
out into the hangar bay. And if there's too many aircraft out there in the hangar bay, it'll keep going up the ladder wells all the way up to like the third floor and then go out and down the hallway
What? And y'all have how long for this?
until you can eat or to or whatever your supervisor gave you. And if you don't, if you feel like, and if you know that line is going to take too long, we got two ship stores on the aircraft carrier. You better go get you some noodles or something.
Gotcha. Because you can't come back late, right?
No, no, can't come that late. So
Lord
once
have
you once
mercy.
you eat and you come back, maybe another group will go. But then after you come back and you do your job, start working, and then um, that's when the second shift will come on around about 6 o'clock because you work 12-hour shifts, or if you did what I did, which is an AVH, um, your hours can lag on for a long time. It's like 18-hour days
Oh, wow.
every day. Sometimes you can get to eat. You just took a shower, laid down for about 4 hours, got back up, rinse, wash, and repeat.
Wow. So tell us a little bit more about your job. What does that entail?
Which one?
The AV
The
AVA.
aviation.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, aviation bosun's mate handler. Okay, so what they do is they direct the aircraft to the catapults to get the aircraft shot off the uh, the aircraft.
Mm-hmm.
Also direct the aircraft to their parking spots so they can get chalked down or chained down so they can do maintenance or ordnance load and unload or whatever they need done. We also are the firefighters of the um, what you call it, the flight deck and the hangar bay. Because the hangar, when I say the hangar bay is like this big, on the inside of the aircraft carrier. It's like a big garage
Hmm.
park aircraft that are on missions or not flying right there.
Okay.
So that is. But yeah, that's basically what an ABH does.
So how many aircraft carriers can you have on a ship?
No, no, no. An aircraft carrier is a ship.
Okay.
Now, an aircraft that's your planes.
Okay.
You know,
Okay.
you got your planes and helicopters. So
So how
I don't
many
know.
planes can you possibly have on the ship?
Um, I've seen a max. I've seen 6 at one time.
How many? I missed that.
I've seen 36 at one time,
Oh wow.
but I'm pretty sure it depends on the aircraft, um, the AVH parking them. If they
Right.
if they not if they nice with it, you can get some more in there.
Wow. I'm just thinking about because I mean these ships when you look at them, I mean they are huge, and to think that you can even have six airplanes on there is amazing. So to be able to have 36, that's a huge ship.
Well, the aircraft are 3 football fields long, so
Wow.
that'll give you a idea on how big that is.
Good gracious. So how many are you how many of you are on the ship work, the military employees? How many of
Well,
you are there?
well, before the what do you call it? There's all at one time for the ship's company. there's 3,000 of us. Then when the air wing, that's the people who are attached to, that's the pilots and everybody that's attached to those squadrons for those aircraft. It's like
Mm-hmm.
2,000 of those that come on. So at a max, you're looking at 5,000 people at one time, which we call the floating city.
I imagine so. Good gracious. That's amazing. Just that part already.
Oh yeah, you have some good times out there, some good and bad times.
Right. So, like when you're on the ship, or on the carrier, what do you want me to call it? A carrier ship? Which one?
It doesn't matter.
It doesn't
I
matter.
understand what you're talking about.
So, and of course, we all seen the movies and all these kind of stuff when you're going through boot camp and things like that. And, but like, how true is that? Like, I mean, I know they are training you guys because you never know when war is coming. So, how taxing is that on you? How stressful is that until you get into that place where you understand what they're doing and what you have to get prepared for? But in the beginning, what is that like? You know,
Okay,
I
so
would I would be like, I got to go home. I can't do it. Where that bell at?
so in the beginning, it's like you kind of get frustrated and kind of get homesick. Um, but you really get frustrated because a lot of times they don't tell you the purpose of what you're doing this for.
Okay.
And it goes along with what type of leadership that person has who's training you or who's leading you. But yeah, at first it's real tedious and irritating because you just get to do this, do that, do that. No, you're doing that wrong. Do it like this. And you're like, why? Why? And then you ask why.
Uh-oh.
Wrong answer. Wrong answer. You ain't got no place to be asking why. You signed up for this, you gonna do this. So once I caught on to that, I ain't asked why. I just did what they told me to do. And afterwards I started asking people like, hey, do you know why this is? Do you know why that is? Why we did this and why you did that? After I done it,
Right,
then it
right.
was okay. But um, we constantly train. We constantly train for different scenarios. Constantly train for information. We constantly training to get better at what we do. So if something does pop off, like a war or um, some kind of bombing or whatever, the first 5 minutes, it's kind of really like kind of like playing sports. The first 5 minutes is just gonna be um, your fear and everything. You trying to remember what to do. After that
Mhm.
minute, instinct just gonna kick in and take over because you done trained with it so much. It's like second nature. And it's like we say, if you stay ready, you ain't got to get ready.
Mm, true. Wow. I don't think I could do it, but I appreciate you all who do.
You know,
I'm
you know what?
telling you.
You know what? You'd be surprised about what you can do. It's a lot of people, and I won't lie to you. The military is not for everybody. It's not. Um, but a lot of people come into the military thinking the same way I did. I'm just gonna do 4 years and get out. But they realize that they are really good at what they do and are
Mm,
getting better and are serving their country and can train the next generation to take over where they where they leave off from and can possibly make it even better.
mm. So again, I guess it's just like anything else. You got to figure out your why. Why am I here? Why am I serving? Why am I staying the course when I
It's not,
do have other options?
exactly. And everybody's why is not gonna be the same. It's gonna be different. You got different people from different corners of the world and life, be with different upbringings. I served with this one guy. He was a He was an active blood, and blood in the gang Bloods.
Really?
Yes, and but he was one of the hardest workers I ever met. He
Wow.
didn't he didn't discriminate. He didn't judge nobody. When he's on that ship, he's ready to get that work done.
So is it true that you guys really, I mean, men and women alike, really become like a brotherhood, a family? You look out for one another, and even when you're off the ship.
Yes, yes. Not everybody embodies that, but most of us do. Um,
Mm.
just like just like this right here. This right here is my military fraternity. A lot of people
Okay.
don't know that militaries have fraternities, but we do. This is my military fraternity, Alpha Lambda Psi military
Okay.
fraternity. So we just like while we was active, we formed that brotherhood or that sisterhood because there are sororities as well. We formed that brotherhood and that sisterhood that bonds us together from when we was active, when we got out and just became veterans, or we retired, or even the spouses. We still
Mm.
form that board. We still uh, build that and form that brotherhood or that family, so that we may do, keep being better for ourselves and for our families, or for their families, or for the homeless veterans or the communities or whatnot.
Mm.
Because it doesn't the bond that we built and the good things that we're trying to do while we was in active duty on those ships, it doesn't just stop just because we are no longer active. We're
Right.
still trying to make our step in the world better and everything around us better.
Cool. So you've been in it long enough, and you started long ago. What was it like when women first really started really getting involved? Because I know, thought that was for men, and men needed to carry the load. But what was it like? I mean, did you experience any of that or see any of that when women first started coming along and wanting to serve?
No, women was there before I got there. I think women started coming on like the end of the '80s, beginning of the '90s.
Okay.
So when I got to my first ship was the USS Abraham Lincoln in Bremerton, Washington, and women were already there.
Okay.
There, established, had rank and everything. So I ain't never know anything different.
Oh, well, that's cool.
But I've heard some stories. Um, some guys is like, you know, they they hit it, they hated it, and they was against it, and like this ain't no place for no woman and whatnot. Um, Others was like, hey, it's a different scenery. Uh, women can do, maybe women can do just as much as men can do, and they have
Right.
proven they can do things just as good as men could. Men can, and sometimes even better.
So do you think, and this is just hypothetical, just me talking, but do you think it was because they felt like when they got in a jam that a woman wasn't going to be able to, have the strength that she might need to fight off somebody, or you know what I'm saying? Do you think it was more from that concept?
I I personally don't know. I don't know. I try not to. I try not to think of how other people might have saw
True.
things.
True.
Um, but I rather for somebody to show me better than tell me. And it just a woman that I've worked with has shown me. They'll tell me, then they'll show me.
That's what's up. Go ladies. I love it. I love it. So so let's talk about, though, when you're in wartime. Whew, what is that like? Because, even in the normal day, you're like, okay, well, I got to do this assignment. It might even be 18 hours, but eventually it's going to end. I'm going to go get my rest or whatever. But during wartime, like, what's
Okay, so
happening?
on a normal day, normal routine day, you may get do this, you doing this and doing that. It's just repetition. Like I said, in the training and stuff, it gets redundant a lot. Uh, but during wartime, like I said, that instinct kicks in. Along with that instinct, that adrenaline kicks in. So
Mm,
you're you're up for however many hours. The ships, the outer, anything that leads to outside is shut down. They have these big doors that just close down, and you're stuck inside, but you're still doing what you have to do. You done what it's called is like general quarters. Once they ring that bell, you see everybody just running to their general quarter spot, and they're getting into what's called battle dress. And for attack, you still got to do your job. Um,
mm,
Everybody's like closed off. Ain't nobody going down trying to get child or nothing. We ready for war. Um, and you're staying up for hours on end. Sometimes you're you're tired, and if you're tired, sleep right there on that deck. All
mm.
right, wake up, get back at it. But you somebody in your division who's paying to the personnel and be like, okay, let's let these people close their eyes for a little bit while we got time. So if something gets popped off, they can switch out with somebody else.
Wow. Whew. I cannot imagine.
And believe it or not, is it can be intense, but your adrenaline is going so fast. It's like all you can think about is what 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 you need to do next. If you're always thinking ahead, you won't get stuck.
Hmm. Gotcha. Was there ever a time when you thought, well, I don't know about this one? It's kind of rough. Might not get to see my family again.
Well, I don't know if you remember. Um, Remember when the Cole got bombed? You remember that?
When what?
The USS Cole got
Cold.
bombed
Mm-hmm.
over in the Arabian Gulf.
Mm-hmm.
I think it was in the Arabian Gulf. Well, the Lincoln was um, over in that area, and we heard about that. And, um, that was round about the same time that we had a smoke coming up from the back, and they kept announcing, telling the boat to stop, and
Mm.
they didn't know what was going on with this boat, and it just kept coming towards the ship. Uh, and this was right after we heard about the cold in the same area that we're in, and it was like we about to pull out, and all kind of stuff about us. About to start building all kind of bombs, start dropping them on everybody. And that ship came up, and then captain gave the call, and they turned that whole boat.
Wow.
So there's a lot of stuff that goes along with uh, being in the being in the military and during wartime, and um, just you just gotta keep head head on straight. Because if you constantly thinking about home and stuff like that, your head is not in the game, and you can easily get somebody hurt. Or kids, you're not concentrating on what you need to do.
So that was going to be one of my next questions. Like, even with your family, so like, how do you navigate that? Because a lot of times they don't know where you are. I know my godson left this area to go stay with his dad during high school. Well, his dad is in the Navy. You might know his dad. I'll tell you offline. But because he's in Norfolk, or he was at some point. Um, And so, but he went to go be with his dad, but his dad was out to sea quite often. So he was there, I mean, stepmom and all that stuff, brother, they were cool and everything, but he still wasn't with his dad. So the purpose you took him down there for wasn't really happening. So how do you navigate that? How do you let your children and your family know, look, I love y'all, I can't talk to y'all, but you know, I'm concerned about you and I'm here for you.
Well, if you're married, well, I ain't gonna say if you're married. Just um, you before you deploy, you talk to your family because it's not necessarily you're gonna have a chance to email them or talk to them as much as you want to while you're out there. So you take that time before you deploy to talk to your family and let them know that I might not be able to contact you as much, uh, but believe it. Just know that I'm thinking about you and I have you in my heart always, no matter what happens while I'm out there. Now, when you're out there, um, you're of course you're gonna think about your family because you're human. You're gonna miss your family because you're human. But when something something starts happening out there, that's out of your control.
Right.
What you have to do, because you're standing next to your brothers and sisters that's counting on you to put your part of the load so y'all can effectively do what you have to do in order to protect our country, protect each other, and have a successful mission and get back home safely.
Hmm.
Because if your mind ain't in the game, they're gonna straight up tell you, we don't need you here with your mind messed up because you ain't gonna do nothing but slow us down or mess something up.
Wow. Which brings me to another point, PTSD. Um, do you do you experience any of that? I don't know if you want to talk about that, but do you experience any of that?
I have major depression disorder and schematic syndrome. Um, I have a lot of I have a lot of associates and friends who like my best friend, he suffers from PTSD. Uh, but
So what do you do? How did they deal with it when you're on the ship, and then when you come back home?
you
Because
want
it's got to be happening while you're already there. It's occurring. It's starting. The seed has been planted. So how do they deal with it?
I'm gonna tell you something that's funny, and that I think is I funny now because I'm out and to see from the other side how they're transitioning, trying to help sailors now, vice when I was in, because they ain't trying to help us. They told us to suck it up. Um,
Mm.
they like they told me I had anger problems,
Oh
and
wow. I'm gonna read
I
this real quick. Hold your thought, but I want to read this. Mr. Roberts, on behalf of all of us here at SIBN, thank you for your service. We thank you for protecting the rights that we hold so dear. I want to make sure you saw that.
my pleasure, my pleasure. But what I was saying was like they labeled me as as an angry black person. Like I had issues with being mad all the time, and but it wasn't until I retired from the military and went to counseling and found out that I was suffering from major depression disorder and that my anger was my body trying to mask, keep people from seeing the vulnerable side of me, from breaking down and crying and whatnot. So I would get mad instead of crying and stuff, um,
Hmm.
to protect myself from people seeing that I'm vulnerable.
Right.
But I never knew. I just little stuff just get off all the time, and I never knew
Wow.
that. Now I know some guys who they seen more action than I have, and then they would blow up over little stuff. Like, you wrote my name wrong on this paper, and they get mad and be ready to fight. And
Wow.
it's it's crazy. Little simple things that set them up. Uh,
Mm-hmm.
so I think PTSD affects everybody kind of different, and like myself, um, my my major depression disorder comes from several different things that has happened to me from when I was in the service.
Wow. And it really comes all full circle with anybody that you're dealing with. We talked about even with kids in school and they're acting up and you just want to label them as bad kids, but it's something that's causing them to act that way, or they don't know how to verbalize what's really going on. And so all they have is this, oh, why don't you understand, you know what I mean? And so I say with that, with domestic violence, all of that stuff, you have got to be willing to do the work to see what the root of it is. But, we're really just coming into this knowledge that it's okay. You know, it doesn't mean there's something wrong with you. It just means we got to figure out what's going on. And even before, a lady was on the show maybe last week, and she was saying that they were saying her child had ADHD, but she was like, okay, so what does that mean? What? How do we fix it? What am I supposed to be looking for? And so we're really just now, for the military, for everybody, just branching out and digging deep to see how we can help people to get over and function well.
Exactly, and it's a part of uh, goes back to being a part of leadership. You got to know your people. You can't
Mm,
treat everybody the same because everybody's not going to be the same. Everybody's
true.
not going to act the same. Everybody's not going to respond to something that you say or do the same way. So it's all about knowing your people, and you need to get to know your people so you can understand how they react, so you can know how to better help them once they get to that point. And it's something
True.
else that I learned in the military, because that's definitely like a melting pot full of people and personalities.
Mhm. And I mean, again, I understand you trying to make them strong. You trying to make them, hey, because we could go into war. I need you to be strong. I need you to be present. But at the same time, oh my gosh, they're people too, and they do have feelings. They are missing their families. They are glad they're serving, but at the same time, they need a break. They just need a little nap. They need a good hot meal. So I can only imagine there's so many pieces that you have to consider.
Yeah, but I mean, it makes most of us stronger, should I say? Makes most of us stronger. Um, but on some levels, some people get so stressed out and they don't reach out for help, or they do reach out for help and they don't get the right help, and
Mhm.
they end up taking their own lives. Um, Sometimes be working too long of hours, and they ain't got no rest, and nobody's paying attention,
Mhm.
and they just trying to keep pushing themselves so they can, being a team player, but trying to push themselves, but they're so tired they get complacent, or they're not thinking of little things, and something happens, especially on that flight deck. Little things happen, and next thing you know, somebody else done lost their life. So
Mhm.
you just
Whew, I'm telling you.
you just
I,
gotta you just gotta watch out for one another. Pay attention to your shipmates, your friends, your soldiers, whoever they may be, even your supervisors. Look out for them too,
yeah,
uh, because they do a lot more mentally than physically, and that can be wear and tear on you as well.
absolutely, absolutely. Ooh, that's a lot. That's a lot. So when you're on the ship and you guys are still on active duty, when days like this, like Memorial Day, comes, are there certain services that you guys do? Um,
Um, they have church service. Uh, they always serving something good. Like like steak and lobster or something like that. Um, maybe if we're not in wartime or whatever, then maybe they be having big buck bingo on TV or whatever. You play bingo. Or they they break out the um, they break out the basketball court and put it in the hangar bay, and people go out there and play basketball court. Or they have a still beach picnic up on the flight deck.
oh,
They try and
cool.
do stuff to try and build the morale and have everybody just relax a little bit.
Hmm, that's good. That's very good. That's important. Wow. So, is there anything, maybe a question I haven't asked, but something you might want our family to know about the military, or maybe even speak to somebody who's thinking about going into the military? They young, they don't really know what they're getting into. They want to serve their country. They can get an education or whatever, but just kind of speak to them. What do they need to think about and consider?
Well, I would say do your research. Don't just be going in just to go in. Go in for what you want to go in, what interests you. Don't don't just go in and let the military pick your job. You pick your job. Take command of your own journey because you might not like where the military puts you, and it may be difficult for you to get out of that because you can change jobs while you're in there, but it could be a difficult process. So make sure you do your research. Study your ASVAB books that you can get at Barnes and Nobles, wherever, so you can cut a good score on your ASVAB, so you can apply for whatever job you may want. Because once you go to boot camp, after you get out of boot camp, they're going to send you to a specialist school of your job. If you score at the top of your class, come out of that class with a promotion already before you even. Well, I wouldn't say before you get to your command. It'd be like 4 months after you got to your command. So that's easy pay right there. Um, but if you're thinking about going into the military, do your research, take control of your own journey into the military. Realize that you're going to be away from your family for a long time. It's, it's what they do. It's part of the military. It's like they used to say in the military, your family didn't come in your sea bag. So you have to be independent and know that your family loves you and they're always going to be there, and you'll see them once you get back or whatever you may be doing. Um, but you have to be ready. Get yourself ready to deal with that because there's time for people to be like holding your hand, or as the military say, babying you when they're trying to get a mission done. And there is resources out there in on the ship and with other whatever branch you decide to go into. There's resources out there if you start feeling kind of depression or whatnot. You got the chaplain services, Fleet Family Support Centers, um, great services, absolutely excellent services to help you. Um, but just make sure that you're ready for that journey. It's an outstanding and life fulfilling journey that you can build on and be successful at if you allow yourself to. Don't block your own blessing. Don't block yourself from enjoying it. Don't block yourself from learning
Mm,
and gaining the knowledge that you're supposed to get when you're out there. Because that stuff can transition to civilian world and help you in the long run.
wow, some good advice. Good advice. So, what about the person who has served, been away from their family for 20 years, and they are about to retire from this stringent, daily routine. Now you're about to retire, return to all us crazies who just say what we want to say whenever we want to say. You like, what? What would you say to them? How do you prepare for that transition?
And go to medical for everything. Go to medical for everything. Make sure your medical record is straight. And if you can, make a copy of your medical record, front and back of them papers, not just the front copy, because it does have back copies. Make a copy of your medical record. And then once you get a complete copy of your medical record, every time you go to medical, you ask them for a copy of that paperwork. Uh, they've been known to lose stuff sometimes, not on purpose, but it's just like I
Oh
said,
yeah,
it's long days and it's complacency.
right.
Um, Prepare yourself for filing your Veteran Affairs claims when you get out by having that, that medical record. Um, Make sure that your GI Bill is straight. Look at colleges that you may want to go to, or schools that you may want to apply to. Uh, Look at the areas that you want to, you and your family. What better benefits you and your family? What states tax your retirement check? What states don't have state tax? Um, Yet all these little things you need to start looking at, and the um, the job, what you call it, the job economy in those areas. Start looking at
Mm,
those things because civilian civilian world is a lot different than being in the military.
I can
Uh,
imagine.
after being in the military for a while, uh, it's an adjustment. It's an adjustment to get back to the civilian world. But
Right.
once you get adjusted to it and you can think back to where you came from, oh, this is easy.
It's just that initial transition, right?
Yes, it's kind of scary.
I can imagine. And even, for your families, even though they have missed you and they're ready for you to come home because they worry about you and they're praying, now you're home.
Well,
Now you are initially coming home on a military, schedule. You want to get up at 3 o'clock and clean the house or something. Everybody's like, "What are you doing?"
well, and that's the thing when you go on deployment and when you go on deployment, if you're married and you go on deployment now, your wife or significant other, um, they're the mother, dad, and head of the household. And if they're working too, they got four different jobs.
Mm,
So when you come back, that honeymoon stage, and like, hey, dad's back, or yay, mom's back, or whatever. And then um, you've been gone for a while this other person's been running things, and
mm-hmm.
you might bump heads a couple times, but they also have, like I said, they also have classes in the chaplain as well as Fleet Family Support Center to help you get ready for that. So they teach us to be like, once you get back after that honeymoon stage of you coming back, you need to sit down with that spouse and say, hey, where do you want me at? What do you want me to take care of? Because it's not fair for you to just come back and just take over everything just because you always the head of the household or you the man or whatever you providing for the family. That's not fair to them because they've been doing it for all those months you've been gone. So
Exactly.
so you need to sit down with them and be like, hey, thank you for taking care of this family while I've been gone. I know it's been trying. I know it's been stressful. I'm here now. Where do you want me at so I can help this off your shoulder?
Wow. That's some really good advice right there. I mean, because you don't think about it. You think, I'm just gonna come home, and even the mom, she thinks she's gonna come home, and the kids are just gonna love on her. The kids are gonna come to her, ask her every question, but they might run to the dad, be like, "Dad, can I do this?" And she's like, "Wait a minute, I'm the mom." You know what I'm saying? So it's definitely gonna be an adjustment period, but I just hope and pray that they take that time to adjust. They don't take everything so personally. It's not that because the child didn't honor your opinion. It's just what they're used to doing. So
Exactly.
I just hope that they take that time to go through that transition and transition together, work together, talk to each other. Communication is key in everything.
You got that right.
Awesome, awesome. So, what do you say you still do for the military?
Well, I still work for the United States Navy. Uh, I work on Naval Station Norfolk Base, which is the biggest naval base in the world. Uh, but I work at the airport, and I'm the person. I'm one of several phenomenal people. My coworkers are phenomenal. I ain't nothing I can say more about them. They are awesome. Uh, we uh, we handle the people for Space A flights and deployment flights for the Air Force or whatever service that may be going on, NALO flights uh, that may be flying out um, for the passengers. I work in the passenger service department, so we handle all the passenger service situations and boarding and debarking the aircraft or whatnot. So, and for all the other military people who are veterans and active duty or retired, yeah, I'm one of the people that sign people up for Space Aid flights for in in the states and overseas.
Okay, very cool. Yes, yes. So, what do you think happens to some of our military who come out? They might have some injuries. They need some medical attention. They become homeless. How can we help? What's happening there?
Well, I think Veteran Affairs and you have a lot of other organizations that are trying to get involved. They have a lot of different programs at the Veteran Affairs um, around the country uh, and the world, that is, trying to help what they can do to make sure that we take care of these veterans and how lessen the amount that are homeless or or
Yeah.
need need medical attention. Um, there is a lot of homeless veterans.
Hmm.
I didn't realize that until after I got out the military. Um, these military fraternities, there's not just one. There is several military fraternities all over the country that are uh, also participating and trying to do what they can for the community and the homeless veterans in the community, trying to help them with homes and shelters,
Yeah.
clothing, food, toys, whatever we can do to try and help them um, better lives or get them on the right road. There's programs out there to help education, to try and help them get a job so they can stand out there on their own feet. Now, stuff happened, I have no idea. I'm pretty sure everybody has their own story.
Oh yeah, yeah.
Um,
But yeah, I meant more like, are the resources there, or maybe people just don't realize
oh no, no,
there's help.
no, and that goes along with Coast Guard, Army, Navy, uh, Air Force. There's programs in each service as well as the Veteran Affairs there to help home veterans. Now there are some homeless who um, their pride gets in the way, but I mean, there's a lot of people who ain't homeless who pride gets in the way, um, and it's all about continuing to reach out to them, continue to try and help them, even if they turn it down. Keep continuing to try and help them because there's a reason why they are where they are in life, and they may feel like it's hopeless to try and get any help, or they try to get help before somebody shut them down.
Right,
So why do
right.
they need to keep torturing themselves and breaking themselves down? Because if that person ain't help them, why would this person help? But we got to keep trying.
Amen. Whew, I tell you, you've given us some good information. I believe you've given some good words of wisdom for those who are thinking about entering, those who are coming out, transitioning. So again, I do appreciate you being with us today. And I do want to, make sure I covered anything that you may have wanted to share. If there's anything else, you can take this time. Um, just whatever you want to share at this last couple minutes.
Um, I would just like to say thank you for having me. And to everybody that sees this podcast, please, if you get a chance, say a prayer for the fallen service members that had came before us. Say a prayer for the service members that are active now, because it's not always easy. Say a prayer for the homeless veterans. Say a prayer for the veterans, period. Because even though you're not active or you're homeless or you're just a veteran trying to get that civilian life together,
Mm,
we still go through trials and tribulations and ailments uh, and we need that extra prayer and that extra help. Just and if you know a veteran, um, call them, check on them, make sure they're okay, make sure that their mindset is straight, because you never know what they went through in that time that they was out there, and it could mess with their psyche or their mental state, however you want to say it. We are, God put us here for each other, so we need to see for each other, check on each other, make sure we all are good. We're all family. We're all created from the same place.
that is true. That is, that's so true. And because again, you think, oh gosh, they've been in the military, they tough, they can handle anything, but they had to handle anything at that point in
Right.
time. Now they just want to just, get a catch a little break. So you never know. So you're right. We definitely have to, if you know a veteran, or if you hear about things going on. I do want to shout out Joy Cook, who has Soldier Festival every year. So the annual Soldier Festival is coming up this year. I believe it's end of July. There's flyers when we do the show. We show the flyers, and you can always go on my page, participate in that, because even with that, is to give to that, because it's to aid homeless veterans. Veterans who are suffering and need a little assistance along the way, and even get involved, because she has different speakers. They talk about PTSD. They talk about being a spouse of an active military person. They talk about that transition back home. They talk about um, grief and seeing death. If you're very active in that war zone where you see a lot more activity and you're seeing your friends and loved ones die, they talk about all of that. So definitely register to be a part of the Soldier Festival. Some of it is virtual and some of it is in person in Charlotte. So, but there are resources. If you know a veteran who's struggling, yeah, they may not want to hear it from you, or they may not accept it from you, because they don't want you to think they're weak. But plant the seeds, because that's all we can do. Plant the
Thank
seeds. Let them know there's help. Let them know that there's fraternity. Hey, have you ever thought about checking into some of the military fraternities? Hang out with your boys, your girls, see what's happening. Sororities, so just kind of as much knowledge as you have, share it.
And if I'm just to put this out there, and it's not to bombard anybody, but if you are interested in seeing what a military fraternity or a military sorority is, you can always go to the website Alpha Lambda Psi Military Fraternity Incorporated or Sorority Incorporated, and look us up. We also have contact information on there. So if you need to talk to anybody, or if you need some assistance, or you just looking to join a new family, we're here for you.
And tell them again who they can go to if they need to just talk about situations. They're a little tense. They don't know what they're feeling and how to deal with it.
And you can go to every state and most counties have veteran affairs hospitals, which have crisis lines. Uh, they also have clinics, veteran affairs clinics, beat family support centers, um, and chaplain services.
Awesome. Well, again, thank you, Devon, for coming on. I appreciate it. This has been a really good conversation. And, these are my favorite type of, I call them interviews, but it's really just a conversation. You're sharing knowledge. I don't know. I'm asking you questions about stuff that maybe I've seen people go through. So I appreciate your honesty and, just coming on and just being real and genuine, because that's what people need to know. Don't need to be like, well, the military's great, we're the best in the world, we strong. You are, but there are multiple aspects and, a part of you. And so I appreciate truly your genuineness. And so, again, thank you. I'm going to get those websites from you so I can tag them to the post, and so people can find out where their resources are in case they don't know. So,
Yes, ma'am.
again, this is we're ending for today. You guys know we are making connections with Aly. We're here every Monday at 2 p.m. and every Saturday at 12 noon. Follow us on Facebook. We have Instagram and YouTube, but follow us on Facebook. And make sure you like the page, turn on your notifications so you know when we go live. And again, for Memorial Day, those of you who have lost a loved one, that pain never really goes away. It can ease up somewhat, but you always miss them. Every birthday, every holiday, you remember who they were to your family. So we send you lots of love and good vibes because it's not easy. But we thank you for allowing your family members to serve our country. We didn't know all of them, but we owe all of them our deepest gratitude. So thank you, Devon. We appreciate you.
Pleasure is all mine.
So, guys, until next time, we appreciate your support. And until next time, as always, we're leaving you with love, positivity, and good vibes. Have a good day, everybody. Bye, Devon.
All right.
Thank you for being such a wonderful listening audience, whether you were listening live or on the replay. And don't forget to like our Facebook page, Making Connections with Aly and Shay, so that you can get notified every time we go live. Do you have a burning message to share with the audience? Contact Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info@ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com with your topic idea and your message to be booked on the show. And if you're an inspirational speaker or a motivator or simply seeking a platform to share your message, contact Miss Alicia Johnson at info@aliciajohnson.com. That's info@ALYSSIAJOHNSON to be considered for 30 to 60 minutes of weekly airtime right here on the Making Connections Network. Again, contact Aly Johnson at info@AlysiaJohnson.com. That's ALYSSIAJOHNSON.com to be considered for 30 to 60 minutes of weekly airtime, your own radio show right here on the Making Connections Network.